Next, we'll have Josiah Henson. Father Henson was an Underground Railroad activist, minister, author, and community leader. Born enslaved in Maryland in 1789, he escaped to Upper Canada with his wife and 4 children. His wife, Charlotte, constructed a backpack that allowed him to carry his 2 infant children on his back for the entire journey on foot from Kentucky to Canada. In Canada, Henson founded a community for formerly enslaved refugees called Dawn. He would make many dangerous returns to the U.S. to aid freedom seekers fleeing enslavement, saving an estimated 118 people through the Underground Railroad. Denied access to formal education throughout his life, Henson published a dictated biography in 1849, The Life of Josiah Henson, formerly a slave, now an inhabitant of Canada, as narrated by himself. Henson would go on to teach himself to read and write as an adult with the help of his son Tom. He became a traveling minister and lecturer, speaking in favor of abolitionism and racial justice around the world, including in 1877 trip to Great Britain, where he met with Queen Victoria. Henson resided in the Dog settlement for the rest of his life, creating work opportunities, education opportunities, and a site of safety and community for his fellow Black Canadians. Father Henson.
I have the honor of standing before you in all probability for the last time in this life. I do not know, sir, in the present state of my health, that I shall be able to make those satisfactory remarks which this audience ought to have. My bodily health is so impaired that I am scarcely able to stand, but I am thankful to be permitted to be here, and I hope to be able to present the deepest affections of my heart. I look back from whence I came and see by the eyes of my mind what you cannot see with your eyes, because you have not been there, and feel in my heart what you cannot feel, and I hope never will feel. And no one can feel it but the man who has had the iron through his own soul. A few years ago, I was dragging the chains of oppression and groaning beneath the bondsman's burden, with not an eye to pity, nor an arm to deliver, and could not tell which way the thing would turn. But I looked steadfastly at God and depended upon his word, at least as well as I understand it. And now these dark clouds have all been dispersed and blown asunder. I was, as it were, between heaven and earth, exposed to death, dragging through the wilderness with my dear little woman and 4 little children. When I had got to the extreme point and could not get no further, having reached the waters of Lake Erie, I knew no what to do. I hid my wife and children in the wood, in the prairie bushes, and went out and exposed my life because I could not do better. I lay in the woods and groaned till the groans of my wife and children, who were starving with hunger, aroused my heart. I said, Lord, I cannot bear this, for if I lie here, I must die. I can only die, and I am bound to try and save my wife and children. I went out, not knowing where I was going or what I should meet. I promised the Lord before that while I lived, I would be a good man. That whatever took place, if I starved, I would be a good man. I made up that in my mind ever since the Lord converted my soul, and I hope I am a good man now, and that I shall live and die a good man, a straightforward man. I went to work in Canada. I toiled with my hands during the week for a livelihood and preached on the Sabbath for a living. But I toiled with my hands to make a living and preached to live hereafter. I may tell you a few things about how I got on. I used to walk 12 to 15 miles on Sabbath on my feet and preach twice and sometimes 3 times a day the best way I could. I could not read, but then I could sing and talk a little. And kneel down and pray with them. I went barefooted every day during the week, and on Saturday night, got a pair of shoes tied with string, had them blackened up a little, wrapped them in a cloth, and took them with me on Sabbath. I walked barefoot till I got in sight of the place where I was going to try to hold forth. When I put the shoes on, I put them on when I came in sight of the houses or cabins, because God commands respect. And I think a minister ought to command respect and be as good looking a man as any of the rest. I preached as well as I could. If they gave me something to eat, I took it. And if they had nothing to give, I went home without it. Frequently, I was asked to stay all night, having 9 or 10 miles to go. But I would beg to be excused. Now, you had better stop. They would say, you are tired, and it will be 10 or 11 before you get home. Well, I would think the matter over and would have been glad enough to stay, for I was tired. But I found I could not do so without dishonoring the cause of Christ. My wife had fixed on my shirt collar and put a white rag around my neck to make me look something like a minister. I would have been glad to have stayed, but if I had done so, I would have been obliged to take off my coat. Now, how would I have been? Sooner than I would dishonor the Lord that way and let the people know I was so poor as not to have a shirt on, I would walk home and get there at 10 or 11 and go to work next morning. There's been so much written, said, and written about me. So much read about me. So many things thought about me that I did not know that I could do better than come and let you see me. It has been spread abroad that Uncle Tom is coming. And that is what has brought you here. Now allow me to say that my name is not Tom, and never was Tom, and that I do not want to have any other name inserted in the newspapers for me than my own. My name is Josiah Henson. Always was and always will be. You have read and heard some person say that Uncle Tom was dead, and how can he be? A great many have come to me in this country and asked me if I was not dead. Says I, dead? Says he, yes, I heard you was dead, and glad you were. Well, says I heard so too, but I never believed it yet. They have forgotten that Mrs. Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin is a novel. Now, you get the key to Uncle Tom's Cabin. You can buy it for about 6 pence, 15 or 16 cents, and you commence and read it. Will you commence at the 37th chapter and read up to the 57th chapter of the key to Uncle Tom's Cabin, and I think there you will see me. Josiah Henson, then, is my name. I am not responsible for anything written in Mrs. Stowe's novel, but only for what she wrote about me.